Mass production contributes to global warming, car crashes, GMOs, sweatshops, and the decrease in the monarch butterfly's population, as well as the honeybees. Mass production is the production of large amounts of standardized products, usually on assembly lines. This process creates products quickly and efficiently, typically with some sort of mechanization involved. It divides labor up between people and machines, with every step on the assembly line doing one small step over and over again. Nearly every large company uses mass production, such as Coca-Cola, Apple, McDonald's, and many clothing retailers. Many people are of the opinion that mass production helped our society by making goods available to everyone and allowing the manufacturer to make products cheaper. And while these two latter facts are true, the former one is not. Henry Ford was an inventor, innovator, and engineer, credited with the creation of the automobile. He introduced electric cars to the already well-known technique of chain or sequential production, also known as the assembly line. Instead of aiming for a large and luxurious vehicle for the wealthy, he catered to the average family by drastically reducing the price. To be able to do this, he had to redesign the manufacturing process to allow for the mass production of a product of unprecedented complexity. Henry Ford was mostly celebrated as a hero for his innovation and out-of-the-box thinking. But in truth, he wasn't. Once the automobile appeared, you could have predicted it would destroy as many people as it did. Ray Bradbury. In 2013, cars emitted over 600 million metric tons of carbon dioxide in the European Union alone. The U.S. fared far worse, with 900 million metric tons of carbon dioxide emitted by cars. Worldwide, 1.3 million people are, on average, killed each year in a car crash. An additional 20 to 50 million people are injured or disabled in a road accident. For hundreds of years before the Industrial Revolution, children worked on their families' farms, plowing fields, sowing seeds, and tending the animals. This labor was generally not dangerous and was regarded as normal. But as a result of the Industrial Revolution and mass production factories, there were a lot less farmers and a lot more factories. Children would work in these mass production factories for many hours every day. In some extreme cases, they would work 19 hours with only one break. There was even some documented evidence to support a 4-year-old working. The children's safety was neglected. The people who the children served would routinely beat them and inflicted cruel punishments such as waiting, where the overseer would tie a heavy weight to the child's neck and force them to walk up and down the factory so other kids could see them and take example. This could take an hour or even 2 hours and was very damaging to their back and neck. The reason why children worked at these factories was because the employers could get away with paying them only 10% of an adult's salary. It's not just children that suffer because of mass production. Today there are plenty of adults working in sweatshops. There are many reports of terrible conditions in factories, such as the one at Joe Fresh where the factory collapsed and caught on fire. A notable report was on Apple, where the conditions were terrible for its Chinese workers. Some worked for 24 hours at a time, and some had to stand for their entire shifts. They're paid as little as 180 euros a month, which isn't even enough for the cheapest iPad. It got so bad that Apple actually had the audacity to install suicide nets. Nets they placed outside of the building to prevent overworked and stressed employees from jumping to their deaths. Much of the food we eat is mass-produced.
If you live in the United States, you almost certainly eat genetically modified organisms, or GMOs. Thus far, it's just plants, though pretty much every kind of meat on the market was likely fed with GM corn at some point.
This mass-produced food is unhealthy for us and will lead to severe consequences. The mass-produced meat we eat treats animals inhumanely by giving them the cheapest possible grains as well as foodstuffs. Foodstuffs are a revolting mix of municipal garbage, stale cookies, poultry manure, chicken feathers, bubblegum, and restaurant waste. Since animals are designed to eat fibrous grasses, plants, and shrubs, not starchy, low-fiber grains and previously mentioned foodstuffs, they become sick. Suffering from painful conditions and disorders, the sick animals are given chemical additives and antibiotics. These antibiotics can cause the humans who eat the meat to become drug-resistant and kill good microbes in the gut. GMOs, or genetically modified organisms, and their associated herbicides harm the environment. They can hurt birds, insects, amphibians, and marine ecosystems. GM, or genetically modified crops, used up much of the monarch butterfly's habitat, and the population has decreased 50% in the U.S. The honeybee has also suffered because of the use of pesticides in GM crops. The fast food industry is in very good company with the lead industry and the tobacco industry in how it tries to mislead the public and how aggressively it goes after anybody who criticizes its business practices. Many people believe that GMOs are not harmful, but this is because the scientists who are critical of genetically modifying food are fired, threatened, or denied funding. There has been evidence that industry-funded research was designed to avoid finding problems with GMOs.
Now, we've been farming for 15,000 years, carefully breeding species at the pace of the seasons. But now it's possible to introduce a new species into the Earth's ecosystem, never before seen, practically overnight. And what's the hurry? It's not a race. We're the human race. So let's farm responsibly. Let's require labels on our foods, and let's carefully test these foods case by case. That's the way I see it. And I'll see you next time on The Eyes of Nine.
So, in conclusion, mass production causes us to eat food that is not nutritious, give off millions of tons of carbon dioxide every year through cars, makes 1.3 million of us die in car crashes, and causes poor people in foreign countries to work in poor conditions. It doesn't help us. And if we got rid of mass production, it would solve a lot of problems.